Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, man. I'm so excited. I got a really cool individual with me today. Tyler Anderson from Tyler Reel Fishing. He's got a great YouTube channel. And you know, one thing, Tyler, that you know, you've got a huge following and a great channel, and I'm sure you get this question a lot, but on a lot of the questions I get from the younger anglers is, you know, how did you get started? How did you get to where you're at? How can I make a living, you know, bass fishing? And you're a great testimony to that, because you know, you're making a living in the sport that we love, but not on the tournament side of things. Right. You're doing it, you know, still behind the camera on the YouTube side of things. So I really want to know, you know, and the viewers want to know, like, you know, tell me, how did this go for you? When did you get started? You know, how did you turn your passion into your job?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, tell us.
Are we starting right now?
Yeah, we're going.
Well, I mean, I started bass fishing at a young age, super young. I mean, you know, panfish off the dock till I was in 4th or 5th grade, and then, you know, catching bass hardcore from then on. But
and who taught you? Who brought you into it?
My grandpa brought me into it.
Your grandpa brought you into it.
And since then, you know, he got really sick and ended up passing away, and so I didn't get to fish with him, but he definitely instilled the love in it for me. And my dad grew up in Minnesota, had no clue what a bass was, so he had to kind of get into it with me. So my dad and I kind of grew in fishing together, and I've far outpaced him for sure.
So what was your first fish you ever caught?
Bluegill. Yeah.
You remember it?
No, I've got a picture in a diaper sitting on my grandpa's lap. The first day of bass fishing I remember was on Lake Travis. It was overcast. I was in 6th grade, and I'm sure I had better days before this, but I was throwing a chug bug, the old, you know, thin poppers, and had no clue where I was throwing it, but the fish must have been spawning or something, because it was just like anywhere I would cast shallow, I'd get a blow up.
Isn't that cool?
And I think I caught 20 or so fish, which for like a 6th grader is like an amazing day, and I topped it all off with a 6.5 pounder, which was my PB at that time.
Something I want you guys to take from this, because we've asked and we've done so many of these interviews before, and everybody's first bass, one thing they all have in common is a topwater.
Really?
My first bass is topwater. Your first bass is topwater. It's just something about that bite. You know, today we filmed a really cool episode for Tyler's channel. You guys be sure to go over and check it out. You know, I pushed a frog really hard today. You pushed a frog really hard today. Yeah. And we've got one bite. You know, you caught one on a frog, and it's just, you know, we want that topwater bite.
Totally.
But, so back to your story. You know, your grandpa took you Lake Travis. Fast forward a little bit, then what happened?
Yeah, so just got really into tournaments and was looking up to guys like you and Kevin and the guys who were winning classics at the time. And I don't think I got to my first classic until I started making YouTube videos, but I always wanted to go, and I'd watch as much coverage as I could, really ate up the tournament scene. And I don't know if Takahiro winning the classic made me want to be a pro angler, but that's the earliest thing that I can remember seeing, is seeing his last second victory, and it was like, this is cool, this is exciting, I want to try to do this. And at the time, at least in my experience, the only way to make a living in fishing was by doing well in tournaments. There wasn't really a secondary option. Even most TV guys like Roland and Jimmy and
Hank Parker. Yep.
They all had tournament careers, and so that kind of led them to have the ins with the television side of things. And so I thought tournaments are the way I have to go. So I did high school tournaments in high school, started my team there. And at the end of high school, I kept watching these fishing shows, and they had the cheesy music, and honestly it was kind of boring, and it was honestly like hunting videos, and I've just not been a huge hunter. And I thought somebody could make fishing exciting. And I loved like really cringy dubstep, electronic stuff back then. And I'm still into a little bit of that, but I thought I can put this really fun and entertaining music in my videos if I made videos, and hook sets and big fish that nobody else is really doing, because people are all sitting on their pawpaw chair on the front deck of their boat making videos, and that's great for a certain demographic, but I felt like I was not being catered to as a high school angler. So I just started making videos, and unknown to me, nobody else was doing it. And so I was one of the first people.
How old were you when you put the first?
I think my first video I was 16.
16.
And from 16 to 18, I didn't make a whole lot, maybe 20 or 30 videos in those 3 years. But that was just enough to kind of get a small following around Austin, where I'm from, and then the state of Texas, and then all of a sudden I had fans reaching out from Brazil and Spain and Mexico. So it was like,
tell the viewers how old you are now, because I mean,
yeah, to 24 now.
24.
I don't look 24. I look really young to most people.
Awesome, though.
But I've been doing it for, you know, almost 8-9 years now, and there's been so many changes throughout the years. But you know, the industry finally realized, who YouTubers are and what they can mean to marketing and to sales and product promotion. And so it's been really cool just to be a part of the rise of YouTube fishing. And now we're so big as a YouTube brand that, pro anglers like yourself and Brandon Palaniuk and Scott Martin and all these guys, Jacob Wheeler, they are having their own YouTube channels because they saw the impact that us as YouTubers, and I categorize myself because that's where I make a living. They see the benefit that gives to their sponsors, and so they have no choice but to do it. So it's just been really cool to see the growth, and like I said, I've had to make all different styles of content to keep up with the times, and now, just like your channel, instructionals is the way that I've decided to go, and it's a lot of fun.
So what's been the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle, the biggest setback, or what's, I'm sure it's not all been peaches and roses.
No, there's a lot of comparison when it comes to social media. And you can say all you want, like, oh, I have thick skin, I don't care what people say about me, but when you have people commenting anonymously that your videos stink and you don't catch any big fish, and then you look at another YouTuber, and whether it's anecdotal or not, in your mind you think like they're doing better than I am, and so you think that you're not as good as them and that they're going to be more successful, they're going to take all the sponsors, and so it's just like a comparison game. And I eventually just had to say, enough of this, like, I'm going to focus on what I'm good at and not really focus on what other people are doing. And that's helped me in not just YouTube, but just every aspect of life. Is, still being kind to people and caring about others, but like not trying to focus on what everybody else is up to, because this is my job, this is my career, and so I'm going to figure out the best ways for me to move forward and make a living. And so part of that is kind of the way that I met you is I do freelance videography as well. A lot of YouTubers don't do a whole lot of high intensity video editing, but I love the slow motion, the drone shots, all that kind of thing. So some big industry companies wanted me on the Bass Pro Tour to film social media content, and I've gotten a chance to meet people like you and just grow my brand that way.
Super cool, super cool.
It's been fun. And and I guess I don't want to keep talking too much, but you were asking in the intros about how to make a living in fishing, and I realized freshman in college that tournaments are fun, but there's so many people trying to do that the best way for me to still fish for a living was to make videos of it for myself and for other companies without having the stress and anxiety and monetary downsides of the tournament side of things.
So for a young angler that might be watching this, what would you suggest for them to do? One thing that I'm going to say that I'm super impressed by you is you've got your priorities straight. I mean, you're very vocal in your Christian faith, which I always say is the very top of the pinnacle. You went to college. You got a college degree. You said that was one of the harder things that you did. That you're super proud of that.
Yeah.
But on top of those two things that I think super important, that one of the reasons you're so successful, what is something else that you would give a young viewer that's saying, hey, I want to make a living in the industry, whether it's tournament angler, YouTube, or marketing, or sales, or whatever it is? What would you suggest to them?
I would really try to figure out to the, let's say the high school or college angler watching this right now, is that you got to figure out what you're good at. And to me, I looked at the tournament scene and I said, you know what, I'm a good angler, but I don't think I'm the best in the world. And I think in order to beat the best, you have to think mentally. You can probably think this, that you are the best on that day and you have to go beat their brains in. And I just don't have that in me. I didn't. I want to go out there and have fun. Yeah. And so I realized that I was good at talking. I'm good at talking to the camera. I'm energetic. I know how to talk about product details. And so that was the thing that I was best at. And eventually the companies that I work with saw that and have given me the opportunity to show my value in that way. Some people are really good at writing. There's always a need for writers and people that are on tour writing articles for companies. Photography is a big thing. Now, of course, it's easier with how good our cell phones are nowadays and the cheapness of cameras to become a good photographer, but some people have the eye. Not everybody who picks up...
I'm an expert with my iPhone in photos.
Not everybody that picks up a camera has the photography eye. But I think a lot of people out there do, and they just don't even know it.
Right.
And so I would just encourage them, people watching right now, there are business opportunities, there are speaking opportunities in photography, and graphic design and coding right now are things that the fishing industry is lacking immensely. If you know how to design a website, run an email chain, and design logos, I don't know how to do any of that because my thing is talking and being in front of a camera. But if you can code and graphic design, that's the way you might not be on the water every day, but you're still going to at least
make
be
a living in the industry.
In the fishing industry,
right.
which will lead to you fishing with cool people like Edwin here. So it's really just finding out what you're good at.
Right. You know, one thing I've noticed with YouTube, I mean, I'm obviously in the infant stages of it, you know, compared to you, or like, you know, we filmed with Gene, the Fluke Master, you know, last week or the week before. I'm instructional. You're instructional. But there's a lot of them out there that aren't instructional. You know, how did you arrive at being instructional? Have you tried any of the other forms, or like, how did your path take you to where you're at?
Correct. So I've been making YouTube videos for almost 9 years. And so in that time, it started out as just crazy cool music hook sets. Videos were 3 minutes long max, super short content. Then, you know, vlogging came about. So you filmed everything. You filmed getting up in the morning.
I still don't understand what a vlog is. What, like
a video blog, and you just film everything. You film going to the gas station, getting snacks, and they were successful for a period of time. But the thing is, the vlogs are the easiest to do because you just film what happens. There's no setup, there's no script. And so a lot of people started doing them. You went from having, when I started, maybe 15 fishing YouTube channels on the planet to within a matter of years you had hundreds. And so just so much more competition to get views and of course make a living. And so right near the end of college, you know, 5 years into this, I realized that vlogs are fun and I'm good at making them, but I couldn't, for some reason, pierce through the web of content out there because it was so large. And I thought, I love teaching people how to fish, whether it's in person or in my videos, so I'm just gonna try to do that. So I said, the entire year of 2019, I'm just going to make instructional videos. And it didn't start out great. The views weren't getting any bigger, but as soon as I got to the end, I looked back and I was like, these videos actually did better than my previous year's ones have, just in 1 year's time. And so I made the decision to go full-time instructional, and I've got a really cool audience that I've built at Tyler's Reel Fishing, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, cool. Who would you say that you learned the majority of your fishing from? Like, you know, we've all had mentors. I had some growing up. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, would it be your grandpa, or would it be somebody else, you know, that you were in encounter with, or maybe you were self-taught? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say it's honestly, I mean, you and every other pro that did stuff for Bassmaster Magazine and Wired to Fish and
just
Bass Resource.
All of it you could consume.
I consumed everything possible. I mean, I read every Bass and FLW magazine for like 8 years straight. And so that, along with putting it into practice as much as I could, was all self-taught. I didn't really have a fishing mentor that took me out all the time. Like I said, my dad has always been even worse than I am. Like I would, by the time him and I were 3 years into it, I was making fun of his hook set and how bad it was.
So you've at least fished with your dad. I don't know. I've been in the boat a lot with my dad as a kid, but he never fished. He'd just sit back here and read the newspaper,
Gotcha.
You know.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
So yeah, no real mentor for me. I wish.
Right.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day I can be a mentor to somebody else.
Oh, you are. I think there's probably a ton of people that would say that already about you, just, you know, that follow your channel. So that's a really neat thing about it. You can really connect with your fans and teach a lot of people how to fish through your channel.
Exactly. And getting to meet them at events like I cast in the Classic is just really cool, because I see them on the screen and I see their comments about them learning, and then you meet them in person and they're like overjoyed that they have now caught more fish because of the tips that I gave. Just, it means a lot.
You know, Tyler, you've been doing this now since what, 16 years old, got super serious at 18, you're now 24, you're married, you know, you got a beautiful wife, Hannah, and life's really going good for you. So is it gonna be YouTube from here on out, or 5 years from now? Do you think, like, is there something else that you have in your sights? You know, you set your sights on YouTube, been very successful. What else is in Tyler Reel's sights?
Yeah, I've always believed that YouTube has always kind of been the stair step to get me to the next place that I want to go. Whether it's the next sponsor or the next freelance gig, YouTube has always been that base that gets me there. But now that YouTube is so big, I don't know if YouTube and Google and Facebook, I don't know if they're going anywhere.
Right.
There have to be some kind of like government, you know, overstep for them to even go anywhere. They have such a big, you know, grasp on the video side of the planet. So I think YouTube will be a part of my life for a long time, but it's changed so much. So I did, like I told you, I've done exciting content, I've done vlog content, I've done instructional content. I could see myself doing instructionals for 5 years. Could I see myself doing it for 10 more years? I don't think so. I think I'd get burnt out eventually, because I got burnt out of vlogging after 4 years. And so I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing until I'm not happy with it. and then I'll just take whatever the next opportunity is, whether it's like I do a lot of big, what I call hosting content. So I'm the host of things for boat and engine companies and big industry brands. So maybe I'll do more hosting in the industry. Maybe I'll work for Major League Fishing, and that's kind of a dream that I have, to be an announcer on their live stream. And there's so many things that, again, I think when I look back, I had no idea that what I do now would even be possible. So thinking 5 years in advance, it's great to have a plan, but I almost can't plan because content is going to change so fast, the internet's going to change, and I think things are going to be different.
You got to be fluid.
You have to be fluid.
I wouldn't have thought 8 years ago somebody would be making a living at 24 as a YouTuber.
Exactly.
I mean, who would have ever thought?
Totally.
And it's really, really neat that you're able to do that. You're able to follow your passion and teach so many people, your sport, my sport, something that we love to do. But I cannot thank you enough for coming up to Oklahoma.
Course.
And I wish you nothing but the best. You guys check out his channel. He's got a phenomenal channel, very, very instructional channel. But man, I appreciate you coming, being in the boat with me
and we'll
today.
do it again.
Absolutely, we got to. You kind of put me on it a little bit today. He caught 2 big ones in my boat, but I'm glad you did. No, I enjoyed the day with you a bunch.
Of course, and of course, like I've told you before, I look up to you in many ways as a fisherman and a man of faith. And you guys, if you're not subscribed to his channel still, forget about mine.
Oh no!
Make sure you got those notifications on for his.
You guys leave us a comment. If there's something we want to ask Tyler that I forgot, I will get it out to him and we will try to answer it. But appreciate you guys following along, and we'll see you next week.